All right, so let's recap the last 24 to 48 hours in Score North / Twins land here. So Judd, you go into the Twins clubhouse and ask some very, I would say, fair and representative questions on behalf of thousands of fans who want to know, why is Byron Buxton not playing very often? Why has he missed almost half the games?
To be fair, I believe that question was asked in pregame on Sunday of Rocco at first before I was there. What I did was then Buxton had a nice game on Sunday, was made available. He also crashed into said fence. So I asked Baldelli about, what was going through your mind when Byron crashed into the fence, and he gave a pretty elaborate answer. Then in the locker room or clubhouse, I asked Buxton, how did it feel on Saturday when you weren't able to play, or because they showed him on Bally sitting in the dugout or standing on the top rail, and that's when he broached the 100 game thing. So like that was my role, but I was trying to find out because I really do believe that this is a primary story. I mean, it's like when Cousins
Absolutely.
didn't get vaxxed. It's no matter how you feel about being vaxxed or not, you are it's my opinion in situations like that you are there to represent the fans who want to know.
Yes.
Like it might rub the player or the guy the wrong way, but there just comes a point in time where it doesn't matter. And just quickly, Phil, this goes back to my thing with Childress. When Moss was released at the Monday press conference, Bob Sansevier flat out asked Brad after by the way, he had told the team that Moss had been let go. Bob, God bless him, said, "Did you release him?" Because it was very weird. And Brad's like, "No, we didn't." Well, he did. So on Wednesday, I asked Brad, and I said, "Brad, I don't care about us in our business here, but you basically lied to the entire fan base, and you perpetrated a lie. You had cut him. All you had to say was, yes, he's gone." And I said, there needs to be an explanation here. Like, you can't just walk away being like, well, that's my right. I mean, people care about your team. So I always go back to that. Like, I don't like to be a jerk, but at some point in time, somebody has to ask. Somebody has to. It's not, I don't like the term accountability because there's no accountability, but somebody just has to ask the question because fans are like,
What's happening?
What's happening? Exactly right. So
Yes.
that's the story. I certainly did not consider any of this to be controversial.
No, well, and it's
not.
It's not, but it's also weird that, listen, this is a franchise, and we'll get into some of the Correa quotes, and Twins blogger sites are calling Judd names and stuff, but the best player in baseball, for my money, I think Byron Buxton's the best player in baseball, and I've been saying that for 2 years. I think he's showing you when he's on the field this year. Another RBI last night. Like, the guy is ridiculous. And he is just sort of vaguely not on the injured list, but only playing 1 out of every 3 days or whatever it is. And to this point, all we've kind of heard is, well, he's got kind of a little hip and a knee. And people are going to games on a Saturday night, 23,000 people. Declan's a season ticket holder. People want to know what's happening. Yeah. So this doesn't have to be some big interrogation, but if the Twins aren't offering all the information or being forthright, reminds me of what happened with Joe Mauer 10 years ago.
Yep.
Questions should be asked. And so I'm glad that the Twins were more open about it on Sunday. It does sound like this is more of a, the word chronic is now being sort of tossed around, not by the Twins necessarily, but it just feels like, all right, it's not like a torn ligament or
the Star
a
Tribune
sprain. It's just
said
he gets
chronically today.
Random inflammation is not a good sign. Random inflammation.
Correct.
So this is the new reality. This is what it is. And I think the fact that the Twins cleared things up and explained things is good, but they don't clear things up and explain things unless they are asked questions about it. And so I'm glad that you did. Not that other people aren't asking questions, but anyways, you go into the clubhouse, you ask questions about the approach of a franchise that has the longest postseason losing streak in North American team sports history. This is not a franchise that just deserves to be worshipped and just bow down to everything they do. They are always correct. How dare you question anything? Like, this is a franchise that deserves to be questioned in a lot of different areas. Mm-hmm. Carlos Correa comes out and says, and he has to defend his guy. I get it. He says, the the people criticizing this decision to rest Buxton probably don't know the game of baseball. If you've got crap to talk about our best player, one of the best players in the game, then you don't know what you're doing. Then there's a Twins blogger site that linked to Judd's article and called you a hater and called you and Score North desperate for attention.
Yeah.
Just for fun here, I'll read you a couple more here just for fun's sake here. Let's see here. Score North is the worst. They do the hot take thing with all the local teams. Shock jocks trying to push buttons. Fans deserve better, from Mike on Twitter, which
Shock
is just
jocks.
a sampling of the reaction to the article that you wrote on scorenorth.com. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on being a bad guy when it comes to questioning the Twins' approach and lack of transparency up until this point in regards to Byron Buxton?
My thoughts are this. First of all, I think we have to take it on a case-by-case basis of who's criticizing us, for instance. Twins Daily, which is the site that you're talking about, is in a very different role than us. They thrive off of the fact, and by the way, good for them, that they don't use access. So they're not in clubhouses. They're not in press boxes. They don't have to be concerned about anything. Like, they just have to be, they are basically a group of hardcore, and some of them are really good. So this is not me trying to crap on them. They are hardcore fans who love the Twins and have opinions. But it's a different world. And I mean, Exhibit A of what I'm saying. Aaron Gleeman, well-respected guy, right? A lot of Twins fans love him. And for a long time, he thrived without access. He didn't want it. And he was able to do what they do now at Twins Daily. That being said, he is now at The Athletic, a respected source of information, but a place where if you are going to do your job, you have to have access. And I think his viewpoint of things would be very different. That doesn't mean he's changed completely, but he's now a guy who has to go to the clubhouse. He's now a guy who has to see people. And look, shock jocks would be in the clubhouse, and they exist. And I'm going to tell you right now, the New York Post, God bless them, magnificent at this. But they're in the clubhouse every day looking to stir things up. I sort of like that. But you know what? We don't do that. And so I think that if the criticism that I'm getting today had come from legitimate beat people, I'd be like a little bit more taken aback, if that's the right term. But we're literally talking about a fan website that uses the access of the beat people to formulate their opinions, and when they don't like them, rips them. Which, again, I want to be very clear here. I think the media and I think the websites and blogs today are more fun than I've ever had in my career. Okay? So I don't want them to go away. I love this stuff. I thrive off this stuff. I'm 52 and I feel 22. This is great. But that being said, you also have to sort out the reality of things. And if somebody's going to say they don't like what I do, especially like with this, I'm going to say this. You have no idea what we do. Like, you do a blog, which is awesome. Again, you should. I think it's great. And a lot of good people. I mean, Twins
Insincere
Daily.
Judd. Insincere Judd.
No, it's not insincere. No. I'm dead serious, because Twins Daily has some people who are really good at what they do, but it's not what I do. And so, if you don't like it, that's fine. I would say this. You might want to understand what you're criticizing a bit more sometimes, but even then, I don't care. But this, so there's a big difference between the Star Tribune saying Score North sucks and you guys have no idea what you're doing and you hate, than there is what is basically a fan blog, which does a good job and has a lot of people that like it, and that's good. And I would never say that people shouldn't like it.
I feel a little
Vikings
guilty.
thing, we see the same thing.
I feel a little guilty and responsible here, because it was about 10 years ago that I went on a rant. I think it was Twitter. I don't remember if I posted an article, or I think it was just Twitter. Mm-hmm. And I was covering spring training, and I'll never forget. There were some Twins bloggers that took issue with the coverage of the team in spring training or the tone. They wanted something. If I remember right, the beat writers weren't criticizing something as much as maybe they should, but there was reasons for it because, when you're around the team, you get information. Maybe for some people, it's also harder to criticize the team when you're around the team because you build those relationships. But there was some sort of rift between why aren't you guys holding the team more accountable? And I remember just like lashing out on Twitter and ripping Twins bloggers, basically saying, if you want access, like you can come down here and you can do your own reporting. But it's hard when you have no accountability. If you say something wrong, and so I remember there was a headline in City Pages that was Phil Mackey blasts no accountability Twins bloggers, and it was like me with a backwards hat, scowl face, and it just
sounds right.
It's just yeah. And I think ever since then there's been a little bit of a rift between some of the Twins bloggers. This is so stupid, right? We're talking about like a dumb niche of a niche feud, if you will.
Right.
But I think you get dragged into some of that too. Some of them hate Score because they hate me, and now they hate you by association, and we're all just negative shock jocks that are trying to stir the pot here. Mm-hmm. But just to come to your I don't even think we fully see the Buxton thing. I'm actually more okay, I think, with the Twins' approach than you are. We both would like to see him in some of these high leverage situations.
I don't like the fact that they hit it.
I agree with that.
No, but look, if this is chronic, I think what people are missing from my viewpoint is this. If this is what they have to do, it's a massive problem. It is a race against the contract.
But it's a reality.
100%.
But he can still be worth the contract, even playing 100 to 120 games, which is
now. Would I like to see him pinch hit and get loose? Yes, I would. But if this is as chronic as we now think, sound the damn alarm. Like, it is a huge problem. There's no question about that.
Yeah, I think we need to see the season play out now. I think we need to see, okay, so he's not a 150 games guy, which is what we kind of hoped for a long time, and that that faded after a couple of years.
Yep.
But okay, if he's 100, I have a problem with 100. 100 is not enough games.
Yeah.
But 115, 120, can we creep closer to 75% of the games? I'm splitting hairs there because now we're probably talking about an extra win or something.
And if he gets hurt in like game 102, are we like, oh, see, you shouldn't have played him in game 102?
Yep. So I don't know. I just keep being you, Zolgad.
I mean, the Vikings thing is worse than this. Like the Vikings have a core fan base that's led by some in our business that are very big on don't question things. They're going to win 16 games. Everything is fine. You shouldn't question things. I guess the thing I don't like is this, and this is why our viewers to me and listeners are so great. I don't like how this influences young fans to be like, I'm a bad fan if I question it. Like, that's what I don't like. But in defense of, I think the youth of today is far smarter than my age group was, because mine was the 98 Vikings, right? Randy Moss, they can do no wrong. So I do feel like the people that call into Vikings Vent Line, Wild Vent Line, have all been, at least the young ones, very realistic, and I love that. But I don't like calling people bad guys or bad fans or
hater. You're a hater
because they question the team. That's just flat out wrong.
I would say, and then I'll shut up and throw it to Declan here to jump in. If you think poking holes in your favorite team because you would prefer them to be better. And in this case, it's weird because in the micro, the Twins are actually off to a great start to the season. I think all of us would take a 21-15 start to the season.
100%.
The macro is this is an organization that even with the current regime literally can't win a playoff game. And they've had this weird cloud hanging over the organization that I don't think is just a coincidence. I think it stems from weird, uncurious, passive ownership all the way down to front office, and there's just a weird permeation. And so, and we talk about the Vikings every day on Purple Daily. If your path as a fan is to just never question anything and call people haters for questioning things, that seems a little off. I don't know that that's the right way to go about it. Grow up. I mean, be whatever kind of fan you want to, but like, don't call people bad fans.
Don't call people
because they are
That's well put.
turning their head sideways at something that doesn't smell right or look right. And so that's my biggest thing is just be whatever fan you want, but grow up if you think that you're a bad fan for questioning things. Anyways, subtext.
Amen. And as someone who has been a fan as a young kid, a blogger for Twinkie Town, a credentialed person.
You were Twinkie Town.
I was a Twinkie Towner with Jesse Lund.
Jesse Lund, man.
Great
Big
guy.
Jesse Lund fan. Mm-hmm.
A credentialed person in a press box, and now a season ticket holder. Okay, I have been in the realm of all four of these things, and I have
now
had
you're
lines
just an
of
anxious
thinkings.
millennial cowboy.
And now here I am, just this anxious kid trying to make my way as now an adult, almost 30 years old, and having my toe in all four of those different waters. Yes, all of these areas can coexist. I think just the issue I take is, unfortunately, sometimes in the media, then it gets spun as, well, we're just like one of them. We're the exact same thing as them. And then the narrative is then spun in that regard. So then they think that's all the gospel. And I think what is so interesting to me is when other media people, Judd, or even Jim Souhan following up with Falvey on something, to take that next step and say, hey, no, we're not just going to wait here and wait for a press release and wait for when the team announces something to announce it. You have to also then sometimes piss off the team. Like, it's a hard line to walk sometimes, but that's your responsibility as a journalist, to give the fans and your audience what they deserve. It's not crapping on your audience when they ask something that you don't agree with. And I understand you're going to get some really dumb questions sometimes. I get asked dumb things all the time. I get asked by my relatives all the time, hey, how's things going at K-Fan? I don't know. You tell me. I don't work there. Like, the whole thing to me is very strange. And I think all of us can coexist. Fans, bloggers, media people, season ticket holders. But the entire us against them narrative to me drives me insane.
Yeah, I think, I guess my final thought on this is we all want the Twins to do as well as possible. And they probably can't make a playoff run if their best player has chronic knee issues. And if the Twins are trying to somehow keep that under the radar, then I think that's what they tried to do with Joe Mauer. People got pissed at Joe. I'm actually shocked that they almost went down the same path, or maybe are trying to. Joe Mauer's reputation is less than what it would have been if they had been transparent about how much pain he played through on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. People think Joe Mauer is a wimp or a wuss or not tough because he's sat out day games after night games. And so sometimes teams think, we got to keep everything private. These are government secrets, and we need to keep things. You can't let that information get out. Why? Why not? Why? If you could go back and replay Joe Mauer's career with more transparency, hey, you guys think I brought this up yesterday, but you guys think he's a wuss, and you guys think he's weak because he doesn't play day games after night games, and he misses 25, 30 games a year. In actuality, here's how much pain he's in. A 6'5" catcher that's been crouching his entire adult baseball life. It's wear and tear on his knees, his core, his hips. Like, it's really, really hard for him to get ready for a game. And he still plays 130 of them and has a 400 on base percentage. People would think, oh my God, like, this guy is tough as nails, right?
Right.
But the organization, and Joe had a say in this too. The organization is the one that's, let's keep all this information private, right?
Yeah.
So some of that's still in my head with this Buxton stuff too. It's people think he's soft.
Well,
people think he's soft. If he's got a chronic knee problem, he's not soft.
No, but that's the one thing that none of us have ever said about him. I don't recall ever saying. In fact, I've always said, because I think he's actually tough. The one thing I don't want to be interpreted, and I feel like we're bordering on that, and I felt like Correa's comments pointed to this. Nobody's questioning Buxton's toughness. Like, I didn't say, Byron, why didn't you want to play on Saturday? What's wrong with you? I said, how did it feel to be so the insinuation is you were stuck there. How did that feel? Because that couldn't have felt great. So yeah, if anyone's interpreting, I don't think I have read or heard one thing from a credible source that Byron Buxton is dogging it, that he's not trying to play, but it's a chronic problem and it's going to have to be dealt with, and it's being dealt with. And that in and of itself is a story. Is it the right call to not pinch hit him late in a close game against a division rival before 22,000 fans who are all saying what the hell is going on? I don't know. Certainly has to be questioned. The lack of wanting to question is, to me, what I don't understand. Because it doesn't mean you're being confrontational. It means you're saying, why aren't you playing?
You're a hater if you aren't fully bought in blindly to everything that the teams are doing. It's like, when did we get there? As not to make this a societal discussion, but like when did we get there?
Right.
Let's go back to 2016.
Well, okay. All right.
Let's move on.
That's actually, you know what? Because we are kind of up against the clock here. We got Judd's trying to get out to Vikings camp. I'm going to save the pecking order I had for you guys for sometime else.
Okay.
I know it's pecking order Tuesday, but we'll
change the name.
Okay. It'll just be
pecking order Wednesday.
Pecking order Wednesday tomorrow. Before we peace out of here, a shout out to our friends at Dennis Kirk. So summer months are finally here. Riding season through the fall here, and Dennis Kirk, who's been a partner of ours at Score, and we thank them for 3 years now. They've got you covered with 160,000 parts and accessories in stock for Harleys, Indians, Metric Cruisers, sport bikes, whatever you have. Free shipping on orders over $89 and same-day shipping on orders placed before 8 p.m. Ride more, wait less at DennisKirk.com. Mackie and Judd, daily Minnesota sports, entertainment, therapy, speculation. See you guys.